Hallo zusammen, zurück bei The Council. Wir wollten uns jetzt ja hier oben mal ein bisschen umschauen, ob wir hier noch mit irgendwem sprechen können. Denn unten komme ich irgendwie nicht weiter gerade. Oh, das kann ich mitnehmen. Achso, wir sind voll im Inventar. Komm, red mal mit mir. Was war denn hier für ein Bild eigentlich?
The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
Will you remind me of the facts we already know about?
Elizabeth Adams was killed last night, but Piaggi was with Holm and I until late at night. As for Bonaparte and Washington, they left us after midnight, both tired.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
I'm going to need a bit more time to review my findings about
Guck
the
mal doch
crime.
nochmal nach.
I do understand.
Pfeift denn da?
All the more so as it's crucial not to make any mistakes when it comes to naming the culprit.
Was war da eben? Buch. Der Leviathan. Was ist denn dieser Papagei gerade gewesen, den ich da gehört habe? Was ist denn da hinten? Ein Schlüssel mit einem Wassersymbol. Ja, den haben wir aber noch nicht alle Schlüssel gefunden. Dann fehlt uns da ja noch einiges. Nur können wir ja gar nicht runtergehen. Ich würde ja gerne mal... Da kann man nicht rein. Da geht's hoch. Erdsternchen. Was waren das gewesen? Erdsternchen. Karmelitengeist, Erdsternchen. Offenbart vorübergehend die Immunitäten und Schwächen, die sich auf einen Dialog auswirken. Okay. Na, nur sind wir noch nicht an so einen Dialog jetzt gekommen. Goldelixier brauchen wir jetzt auch erstmal nicht. Ein Halbkreisschlüssel. Nee, bei Peru war der nicht, der war glaube ich bei Emily. Nee, das
Two
waren die zwei.
coils circle the lock.
Dann war der bei Washington. Bei Napoleon habe ich nämlich keine gesehen. Da dürfen wir nicht rein. Richer, das sind wir. Piaggi. Kommt komischerweise nicht rein, weil der da oben rumrennt. Da geht's nicht rein, dann war das hier hinter Washington. Da ist er. Dann war die Kiste hier irgendwo, da steht Washington und die war, glaube ich, bei ihm im Schlafzimmer. Oder war die jetzt doch bei Napoleon? Ich bin jetzt echt durcheinander. Okay, an die kommen wir nicht dran. Das ist ja nicht so eine Kiste, die ich jetzt gerade suche. Die Briefe habe ich alle schon angeguckt. Dann war dieser Halbkreis doch woanders. Gesehen habe ich ihn aber schon. Achso, das war hier ihr Raum. Oder war hier eine Kiste gewesen? Da war eine Kiste.
A chest with a half circle pattern.
Was ist das denn?
An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. Your writing is barely legible. I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
Wie, wir haben keinen Platz mehr. Wofür haben wir keinen
I
Platz
have
mehr?
no space left. I'll retrieve it
Ach,
later.
Goldelixier. Dann nimm mal welches. Achso, er hat keine negativen Effekte. Ach, gut, das ist ja jetzt nicht so wichtig. Da war das Laudanum. Und die Leiche haben wir eigentlich auch ordentlich untersucht. Warum kann ich in diese anderen Räume nicht rein? Das hieß doch erst, wir können in alle Räume rein unten. Im zweiten Stock. Steht überall Essen rum. Ich kann noch nicht mal in meinen eigenen Raum.
Duke Manuel Godoy.
Nee, da komme ich auch nicht rein. Emily. Und runter darf ich nicht. Wir gucken uns den nochmal an. Die Briefe hatten wir ja eigentlich alle schon. Er hat aber auch hier so eine komische Kiste stehen. Bei der ich nicht genau weiß, was da drin ist. Und wir haben irgendeinen Schlüssel geholt. Was ist hier ein Punkt in Überzeugung? Charakter. Kann ich hier schon Punkte vergeben? Nee, das geht wahrscheinlich wieder erst am Ende von der ganzen Geschichte hier. Wir haben einen Schlüssel mit einem okkulten Erdsymbol. Dann haben wir einen Schlüssel 5 Kreise und Wassersymbol. Ist es jetzt ein Mann oder eine Frau? Peru haben wir, der verrät uns nichts weiter. Wir versuchen mal was. Wir haben ja dieses komische Zeug, was wir nehmen können. Hier, das war um seine Immunitäten und Schwächen in Konzentrationspunkte. So, 4 und 3. Okay, also 4 und 3. Jetzt bringen wir dem Typen nochmal.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations. You've wrapped up the investigation.
Okay. Ich werde jetzt einfach mal behaupten, ich weiß den Mörder, um hier voranzukommen. Wir sind uns einigermaßen sicher, dass es eine Frau ist. Wir haben zwar seinen Fußabdruck gefunden, aber der wird auf keinen Fall, die Elizabeth umgebracht haben. Wir haben dieses Stück Stoff gefunden von dem Kleid unserer Mutter. So, jetzt probieren wir es nochmal. Was ist denn das hier eigentlich? So. Chili Royale.
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
From what I've found out, I believe that my mother is the culprit. Even though I find it hard to accept.
Sarah? But why her?
I found out that there was a long history between Elizabeth and my mother. She had been her personal doctor and had tortured her throughout her childhood.
Ah. And so she could have tried to silence Elizabeth so the truth wouldn't get out and damage her reputation. Well, it's possible. Have you anything else?
I found a piece of fabric that appears to have belonged to her and proves she was present at the scene of the crime.
Interesting. Anything else?
I think that there is more than enough evidence here.
Indeed, it's very worrying. Everything seems to indicate that your mother is responsible for Elizabeth's murder. Given the distinguished guests and the political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
Now that we've examined the question from all sides, maybe you could explain to me why you asked me here, my lord.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
Sagen Sie, ist die Katze.
Knowing my mother, she would be the cat.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I am sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Boulder, and myself.
And what about Mr. von Wollner? Do you know him well?
To be honest, not really. He's closer to Gregory. I'm not the one who invited him.
What I know of him is what they say in high society salons. He's a man who manages to form alliances with the right people when it's necessary. As a minister of the church, he actively repressed the religions of the book and the spirit of the Enlightenment. And, if I'm not mistaken, he has a passion for alchemy.
But then, I must admit, he is rather evasive and not very talkative, at least toward me.
I'd like to have a word with him if I get the chance. He might be able to tell me more about my mother's last days with you.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we like to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
My mother must have undoubtedly taken great pleasure in these exchanges. She always was one to appreciate broadening her knowledge. I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation. Until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
One last thing, although I don't know if there is a connection.
I'm listening.
A gate was forced the other night near the wharf. Nothing serious, just a few small things damaged.
Ja, es war ein
Sorry, my
Wurm.
lord, but I was searching for leads to my mother. I thought I was hot on her trail and didn't take any precautions.
Well, you could have reported it to a servant. But never mind. I shall put it down to your ardor and anxiety. However, please try to respect my estate in future.
I certainly will. Please accept my sincerest apologies.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
Okay, Leute, den Raum schauen wir uns aber erst beim nächsten Mal an. Für heute war's das. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Bis bald. Tschüssi.